our weekly feature where we're joined in the studio by the superstar, the legend, is the voice of boxing, Adam Smith, to take a look at the week's biggest stories. Just quick, we've got so much to talk to you about. Hello, Adam, by the way. Hold on, wait for Jack to turn your mic on. It's like you had 8 minutes to get that ready.
Mic check. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, check down. Is it okay? We good?
It's all good.
We're good.
Oh, what are you going to ask him?
Well, I was going to ask him, you know when we just heard you go, lift off for AJ?
That is the weirdest thing in the world, that. I swear my kids love. I was about to ask him, what fight was that?
Spent too much time together.
Yeah, it was AJ, but who's it against?
That's Klitschko, isn't it?
It was Klitschko.
Yeah.
I swear.
That wasn't going to be my question, but it was about that sentence.
Me too.
You two are just weird.
Weird.
What is this? Serendipity here.
A lot of people think we're brothers, but there's a couple of things that tell us apart. One's age.
One is age.
I was going to ask you, a line like that, lift off for it. Do you ever write lines beforehand thinking, if this happens, this will be a great line to
Sometimes I write a couple of bullet points when I do ring walks, but no, when you go in with the flow of something, you go with the flow. Absolutely not. You think about it beforehand. You think about what might happen, all the different ponderables. But then you can't. Then Fabio Wardley knocks Justicini out.
Yeah,
you go with what you go with what's happening live.
Was it Klitschko that or lift off, or was it when he became world champion, AJ?
No, he became world champion against Charles Martin.
Yeah, but then what was that commentary for?
But that was for Klitschko. April 2017 at Wembley, 90,000, 11th round.
No, you told me, I didn't know.
Both have been down, 11th round. Klitschko knocked down a couple of times and stopped on his feet. And that was it. That was the big moment. I still think that was AJ's best night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Hold on.
Even the one where he beat Charles Martin to become the champion, you think it's bigger than that?
Yes, I think Charles Martin was an average world champion. I think Klitschko was, a legend of his time, really, probably on the ageing side. And I think AJ was expected to win it, but he went down and he had to get up and he had to deal with a lot of adversity. He was a couple of punches away himself from being stopped in that fight. So to get through that and win it at Wembley, 90,000, I thought that was the great night for him. Andy Ruiz rematch was good in Saudi, but I still think this one...
The result was good.
The result was good. Appalling. Yeah, but this fight was a great fight, a great performance, and that I still think is his best night 8 years ago.
That Charles Martin didn't win the world title, did it? It was handed to him, right?
He sort of got it, Gassiev in New York, and I saw him and I thought he's the one that AJ should fight.
What happened to him? He done his knee in the fellow, his arm, what was it?
Very good. The knee went,
Thank you.
That's knowledge.
Not bad, that.
Lift off for Goldstein. Right, before we talk more boxing, can you tell us why you've been in Parliament today? I'm guessing it's to do with that very, very bright, loud T-shirt you've got on.
Yes, bright orange. Fight bladder cancer. A couple of years ago, I went through my own battle with bladder cancer, which was very tough, very hard. And it's still a cancer that's not that known, and we're trying very hard at Fight Bladder Cancer to go. Yeah, we went to Parliament to state our case for more funds, more knowledge about the disease, more support, medically. And with patients, and so we met a few MPs today, and it was really good.
Can I ask? Staying on that subject, I think men are a lot more ignorant about illnesses than women. This is my own experience, but us men think we're tough and hard and don't really get ill. And
we don't talk about it.
And we don't talk about it, but if it is, we're sort of, we'll be all right, where women sort of look after themselves a bit more. Can I ask from your own personal experience how you found out you had it? What were your symptoms and how long did you wait?
I had blood in my urine and I should have gone straight away to a doctor. I waited a little bit of time.
How long did you wait?
A couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. But it came on and off, and then it came quite regularly, and I thought, that's it. And I was too embarrassed really at the time. I went to a mate and I said, I don't really know what it is. And he said, get to your doctor straight away. And I went down and they said it was at the beginning, they thought it was a urinary infection. They gave me antibiotics, nothing cleared up. And a couple of weeks later, they diagnosed that I had aggressive invasive bladder cancer. And I was very, very lucky. If I hadn't gone in, I wouldn't be here.
And what was your treatment?
I had an operation 4.5 weeks later, and I had my bladder taken out, my prostate, lost 19 lymph nodes. I have a stoma on me, which is tough, but it keeps me alive. And I had a really, really tough rehabilitation. I got an ileus, which blocked up my whole body. I lost 4 stone in weight.
Wow.
I had a real difficult time. I was in hospital for 4 hospitals in 3 months, 4 different hospitals, and then I had 3 months in chemo. I had to basically learn to walk again. It was really, really hard, Andy, and it was a year out for me. And so I didn't really know anyone at my age. I was 51 at the time that had bladder cancer. It's a smoker's cancer primarily, and the average age is 74. So I found out that there are actually a lot of younger people that have it. Tracy Emin, the artist, had exactly what I had, and it's a tough one, but I got through, and I'm very, very grateful to my doctors and nurses. And fortunately, it hasn't come back.
Can I? Do you mind me talking about it?
Of course not.
When you say it's a smoker's cancer, do you smoke or did you smoke?
I've never smoked.
You didn't?
No.
Well, okay.
No, I've never smoked, so it was a surprise, and I was very young. But yeah, look, I don't look at why or how, or it just happened, and it's something that I dealt with, and I learned more about myself in those few months than ever. I had to deal with adversity for the first time. I'd never been ill. So, I'd never really taken a day off at Sky or anything. It was pretty horrendous, and it was tough. But I think the message is for guys of our sort of our age or thereabouts, talk. If something happens, go in. Just go and get checked out. There's nothing wrong with getting checked out. And I didn't want to know. I wanted to run away from my GP. Now my GP is one of my best friends. It's life changing, and I've got 3 children, and that's what I had to think about, responsibility.
Yeah. I think it's now lift off for Smudger.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Well, listen, we commend you on all your brilliant work and the fight that you're doing as well. So, should we move on to boxing?
Yeah, of course.
Talking of fights, I mean, that one, it doesn't get any bigger than anyone fighting for their life. But let's talk about, where should we start? In fact, let's talk about Chris Eubank Jr.'s camp today, because a story has come out that he's going to appear before the British Board of Boxing Control in July to answer questions about the use of a sauna before his fight with Conor Benn. Can you just tell us a bit more about this story and why exactly saunas are banned by the British Board of Boxing Control?
Well, I think the problem, obviously, with saunas at the last minute is you're cutting weight drastically before a fight, which is not the healthiest way of going about things. But sometimes, needs must, and fighters do go into hot baths and these sort of places to try and get that last bit of weight off. We knew that Eubank Jr. would have a very difficult struggle to get down to the stipulated weight because he's really a natural, certainly big middle, if not super middle. So he had to get down, and I think he wanted everybody to know how hard it was for him to make it by him putting the pictures out on social media. So I think the board then had to do something. It's in their rules that's not really allowed, therefore they've got to take him up on it. However, obviously the fight went on, and it was a phenomenal event, and fortunately everyone got out safe and sound, and it was a memorable night, and one that goes down in the history books. But I guess the board have rules, and they've got to look into it.
So much, a couple of questions then. Like, A, what kind of punishment can you get for doing this? And also, this is a really bizarre question, but is it a form of cheating?
It's a difficult one because you've got to make stipulated weight, so you try everything you can to sensibly and safely get down to it. And the board have over the last few years put more medical improvements in place, to get fighters check weighed at certain times in the camp, in the build up, so you don't really crash the weight. But I don't know whether it's cheating to make the weight. You've got to make the weight. That's the important thing, is that he missed the weight originally, even after that, and was fined a lot of money. 375 grand, a lot of money. So fighters don't want that to happen, but sometimes you've got to try and grind yourself down to get to that weight. The best, I think, the happiest fighters are the ones that fight at a more natural weight and that it's more comfortable. And there was a good big sort of craze a few years ago, maybe back in Ricky Hatton's day, where it was sort of everyone's trying to sort of drag themselves down to the weight almost below them, so they could be the biggest, strongest guy, and they could rehydrate. So they'd weigh in, 9 stone and fight at 10 and a half the next day, or weigh in at 10, fight 11 and a half just 24, 30 hours later.
Wow.
But I think people like Manny Pacquiao came in and they showed a way of when he was fighting at welterweight, it'd almost be lighter, and there's now a sort of more of a feeling that if you're fighting at a more natural, comfortable weight, look at Usyk, who's gone up and not put huge amounts of weight on to be a heavyweight, that you're actually better off almost fighting at what's comfortable for you and not sort of grinding down. But sometimes there's stipulations, and they agreed a contract, and Chris had to try and get down to that weight, and he got fined for not making it, and now they're going to look into this. I think that the most important thing, of course, with fighting and boxing and all of that is the health and safety of the gladiators involved. It's tough enough in the ring, of course.
Do we still have super heavyweight?
No, only in the amateurs.
We used to have it though, didn't we?
Yeah, so like Audley Harrison, AJ won in the amateurs at super heavyweight. So Alexander Usyk won the heavyweight gold in London 2012, and AJ won the super heavyweight gold.
Did we not have super heavyweight? Was Riddick Bowe not? I don't know why that's in my head.
No. So heavyweight was always just over cruiserweight as a professional. It used to be 13 stone 8 cruiserweight, then it went up to 14 stone 4, which helped people like Johnny Nelson, big cruiserweights, who was still sort of cruiserweights. But then there's small heavyweights like an Usyk, and then there's big heavyweights like Fury and AJ and Dubois.
Okay. Let's carry on our boxing chat when we come back, just quickly, because we were talking about fighting bladder cancer. Is there a website that people can visit? Fight
bladder cancer. Just go onto it. Website. The website, Instagram. It's fightbladdercancer.com. Let's get on it, and please support us. It's the orange colours, as you can see. Glaringly today, the orange heart of bladder cancer, and it's all about looking for the signs, and it's not being embarrassed. If you find something in your urine, get it checked out.
Wise words. We're going to have a quick break. More from the voice of boxing, Adam Smith, after this live or drive on talkSPORT. I know we're still joined in the studio by the voice of boxing, Adam Smith. Let's talk about a fight we are all very excited about. Actually, Moses Itauma. Because since we last spoke to you, Adam, it's been confirmed that he's going to face Dillian Whyte in Saudi Arabia on the 16th of August. Now, I know how highly you rate Moses, and all of us, actually, to be fair. This is a big step up, but at the same time, it's a big risk, I think, as well for Dillian Whyte, because if he were to lose this fight, I don't really know where he'd go after that.
It's one of those sort of old-fashioned, traditional crossroads fight, right?
Yeah,
young
very much
pretender
so.
Coming up against the baton-hardened warrior. Dillian Whyte's been fabulous for so long. He's been in with everybody. He's always dangerous with the big left hook. The knowledge he has around a ring. He's tough, and he doesn't mind taking on anyone. He told me the other week that he doesn't want to fight someone he's already fought. He wants to fight someone new. Well, here we go. He's fighting the heir apparent, the new kid on the block, Moses Itauma, who looks absolutely extraordinary. And for me, he ticks all the boxes. I like his attitude. I like his style. Southpaw, hard-hitting, moves so well. He's going to be very, very difficult to sort of deter. So it's an interesting one because, is this too soon for Moses, or is this just the right fight at the right time? Could Dillian sort of old man him and take him to a place that he hasn't been used to, take him to the trenches where he hasn't gone as a professional, might have done in sparring, but not as a professional under the lights? Or is he going to get rid of Dillian like he has everybody else? It's a fascinating battle, August 16th in Saudi.
What do you think, Smudge? Because I'm looking at this fight and I don't quite know. Listen, I like Dillian. I don't know what he's got left. But as you said there, if he was to kind of roll back the clock and we know what Dillian can produce, would you say it's the perfect matchup for Moses Itauma, or do you think it might have come a little bit too soon? They could have got maybe someone in between before you start getting to that level.
You look at Francis Warren, Frank Warren, they've got huge experience and they don't want to get it wrong with Moses. So they must be very, very confident that he can take care of business on August the 16th. But, boxing's full of banana skins, particularly at heavyweight. And we remember when Dillian was knocked out in the garden, in the cold, eerie Matchroom Garden by Alexander Povetkin. He had Povetkin down a couple of times and then bang,
punch
he
for
walks
the gods,
into a
wasn't it?
shot.
Bang.
Wow. So you never know. That heavyweight power that Whyte has. Did he look amazing in Gibraltar when I last saw him? No, he looked okay. I think he's got certainly something left. He'll train very, very hard for this. He'll have a lot of pride going into it, and he'll want to win this to elongate his career, obviously. So he'll hope that Moses has bitten off a bit more than he can chew. But I think Itauma's the real deal, so I think it's a dangerous fight for Dillian.
I know they've fought before. I'd quite like to see now Dillian Whyte against AJ.
I'd like to see Dillian Whyte against Derek Chisora. We had two great fights, one really good one in Manchester and then the second one, which was won by knockout late by Dillian. I'd like to see that maybe as a third fight, the trilogy there. Or, yes, you're right, he could fight AJ. Always talk of Dillian Whyte fighting Deontay Wilder as well. These are names that we could see Dillian in, but it depends how he gets on with the Itauma. Let's see what happens. Is he going to, take him late, or is he going to struggle early? What I love about Moses is his judgment at distance. I mean, he's so difficult and he's so quick with that backhand, and I just think he's a very, very good fighter, and I think he's going to become a world heavyweight champion.
If Itauma does to get rid of Dillian, where next do you think for him? Like, where's the perfect landing spot? Because as you said there, that heavyweight division now all of a sudden is stacked again.
It is stacked, and he's just got to be slightly patient. He's 20. I think he'll want to fight the winner of Usyk Dubois. So they've got to try and hold him back. I mean, I'd love to see it, wouldn't we? If he deals with Dillian in the summer, wouldn't we love to see a winter showdown with the winner of Usyk Dubois? But I think Usyk Dubois' winner should fight Joseph Parker. I think all's fair. Give Itauma maybe 1 or 2 more fights, depending on what happens with Dillian, and then I think Itauma will be knocking on the door for that world heavyweight title fight this time next year.
Wow.
Before you let it go, just quickly, we always get you in and look back at a bit of boxing history. Sunday marked 41 years since Thomas Hitman Hearns stopped Roberto Duran in the second round to return WBC Super Welterweight title at Caesars Palace in Vegas. I mean, there's so many questions I could ask, but I'll ask maybe not an easy one, but an easier one to ask. I mean, it was such a great era for that weight of boxing because you had Sugar Ray Leonard as well and Marvin Hagler. Can you rate those 4 for me in order?
The 4 Kings?
Yeah.
My favourite, Tommy Hitman Hearns, destroying Roberto Duran, and no one ever did that to Duran. I think a lot of people have Duran in their top 10 of all time.
What was the
Hagler beat Hearns. That was Leonard and Duran.
What a fight that was, by the way.
Yeah, Leonard Duran when Duran turned away. But it's a very, very hard one because they were all different weights as well. You've got to remember that Hagler beat Hearns over those 9 minutes of mayhem, the 8 minutes of mayhem, in April 1985. And so, look, you can take it's what you like. I mean, Hagler, if you like that, the brooding, hard, southpaw middleweight who no one really liked because he was old-fashioned and he was brooding. But he was such a great fighter. And if you look at it as a middleweight, he was brilliant. Duran, probably the greatest lightweight or one of the greatest lightweights of all time. Sugar Ray Leonard, one of the best boxers of all time, maybe top 3 or 4. But for me, I love exciting fighters. Diego Corrales, I loved Corrales when he was alive and fighting, and we miss him very much. Not in that same league, but that sort of style, or an Arturo Gatti. But for me, Tommy Hitman Hearns just had everything: the jab, the power, and the vulnerability that sometimes he'd get done as well. So you never knew what you were going to get with the Hitman. It was a wonderful era.
I think that's the perfect answer. Adam, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming. We much prefer it when you come in. Are you here next week or are you away somewhere on Zoom?
What am I doing next week? I might be up in Hull because we have a GBM DAZN show, or I might be here. I will let you know in the coming days.
Either way, if you're on the show, happy days.
It's fightbladdercancer.co.uk before I get told off by the brilliant people behind Fight Bladder Cancer.
Say that one more time.
Fightbladdercancer.co.uk. And please, for all the guys, I'm sure there's lots out there that listen to this, and the women. Yeah, it hits both of us, and just look out for the changes in your urine.
Yes. And speak to a doctor as soon as possible.
Just get in. Get yourself checked out.
Just get in.
Might be nothing. Get yourself checked out.
Just do it.
It saves lives.
It does indeed. Thank you for coming in. Always a pleasure.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.